All right, truth seekers, let's go. It's Friday. I thought we'd just hop on and have a conversation tonight. We ain't talked in a long time about different stuff, and I think tonight will be a good night to do that and share some things with you. I want to do an audio check. If you're here right now watching, if you can put in the chat and give me a audio check. So I want to make sure that things are going the way we need to do it. All right, we have Melissa Spark in the house. So let me know, Melissa, if you guys can hear me. Somebody put in the chat, make sure my audio is good or okay, because I'm just using the speakers. All right, Don Reedy, what's up, nephew? He's in the house tonight. So we will kind of go from there. All right, cool, cool, cool. And yeah, we're just talking tonight. So good evening, everyone. We're going to have some open conversation. We haven't done this in a while. It's not a Freaky Friday, right? It's just more or less a talk, but we're going to go over a lot of things, from what is happening. As you know, we have so much stuff that's been coming even deeper with reptilian stuff that's coming out now. I'm all into the reptilian stuff, the aliens. We're about to get a little more disclosure information, probably not full disclosure, but maybe them telling us some stuff that's going out. Jay Bird is in the house tonight. And just kind of tell you what's going on and everything else. And so I missed you guys, of course, doing these type of lives. I've been uploading some few other content and just been kind of putting some stuff together. So we're good. We're just making it all happen in real time and everything else. So first of all, Easter is coming up. I think Easter weekend for a lot of you. So happy Easter for you. Or if you celebrate Easter, whatever it means to you, go ahead and have a good time, or with your family, or whatever you do for Easter. But if you're give you some quick updates, we're going to be doing our movie night here in Dallas in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to put up a poll pretty soon on what movie we're going to watch. A lot of people want to watch him, and then we got other events that we're going to be talking about. So, this is going to be an open conversation. As you can see, I got a chat window up over here where you can kind of see the chats in real time up on a computer screen. I think you can see that. Or y'all, let me ask y'all something, because I don't know if my screen is mirrored. Are you seeing this? Ask me uh, anything about reptilian. Is it backwards or is it forward? Because I had to click a button and have my screen mirrored, and I want to make sure you're seeing it this way. So let me know in the chat if you're seeing it this way, the right way. Otherwise, I have to click a button and mirror the screen. So I'll look real quickly for the chat. You're seeing it forward, meaning forward as the right. It's correct. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's get down into a conversation. And, you know, uh, we're gonna, and everybody's gonna get involved in this. All right, and we can talk about aliens. We can talk about the reptilians. We can talk about history on reptilians. You can integrate a little Epstein in it if you want to. You can talk about the what they're eating and who they're eating and how they're eating. We could talk about I just want to kind of fill some questions tonight from you all and everything else. And because we're leaning into a lot of heavy symbolism now. And I've been put up a couple of little videos where I'm using my smart board. And, grateful enough on TikTok, those things are getting hundreds of thousands of views versus everywhere else. So maybe the TikTok audience is down with the program. Right now, if anybody got any particular questions on anything that's happening out here that we can discuss in real time as a group tonight, um, you know, we've done this back in the past. It wasn't called Freaky Friday. We're not doing a Freaky Friday, but we've done this in the past. But the main thing is whatever type of conspiracies and things that, maybe you got questions or something new that has popped up. Hopefully you're all into this conversation, and there are some people that got a few questions to ask and everything else. So, I'll start out like is that there's more and more stuff coming out with the government. You heard JD Vance recently. He was talking about the aliens could possibly be demons. That's what he think of. So I want you to be really open-minded when you start hearing this conversation, because it is meaning they're trying to get closer to a disclosure. But what he's really setting himself up for is what I would consider being the future president. Okay, he's setting himself up for that. Let me take these headphones off because I don't really need them. I'm not listening to anything in particular, but he's setting himself up for being the future president. And you got to think about it. If he knows that Donald Trump may not release these files and they done said it and he may want to run on it, or he could say he hasn't seen them because you got to think of what we call a qualifier in this particular scenario where he's saying they're demons or he think they're demons, and that's his way of not saying that he know that they're real, or he can say, well, I didn't know at the moment, I thought they was demons. And so they're already playing this new game because, again, it was set out there that they possibly was going to share some information. But newsflash, it's not going to be a full disclosure where most people think it's going to be. They're going to come out and just blatantly tell us that the world is not flat, that the world is, there's aliens everywhere, and who is the god of everything and all these things. It's not going to get to that because you got to remember there's a lot of other scenarios that when it comes down to this alien stuff that is bigger than anything. You're talking multinational corporation, you're talking free energy, you're talking health, you're talking global economy, you're talking all these different things that affect, if they wanted to share with us, that there's extraterrestrials and aliens that's walking around. And I'm pretty shocked that no one has no questions, and I'm sure if you don't, that you have the answers for all of it. But the fact of the matter is we're looking at a whole different scenario that you should keep your eyes on. We already know that we're in these wars, the distractions of these wars, why the distractions exist. But there's something, a movement that's coming on of the new world order that they are gladly walking us into. And you will hear our current president talk about the golden age and everything else. And so I really think that there is a war between the factions at the top of this food chain, and that we are the thing that they're after, and everything else. And so I really think that that is something for us to do. She said, what do you think of all of the large meteors lately? I think that, we get hit with meteors all the time. It's nothing new, but the fact that bigger ones are coming and bigger things are getting through and are burning, not burning into the atmosphere, could be some kind of sign. I don't know if it's some type of global warming, or not global warming, but the asteroid belt of things that's happening. And that alone, the question that you're asking is, meteors still tell people, there is a space, and people think that all this stuff is not real. There's no space and or firm, you know how we're talking about it. But now, if you go back into some of the movies and you go back into a lot of those things, usually they said that the meteors was way that they will send their weapons through. And I was reading a book recently. I think I don't have it in front of me. It's in my bag. It's a real good book, and it talks about a lot of stuff on the reptilians. And it basically talks about that was one of the techniques that the reptilian gods, or not gods, but the Dracos would use, that they will burrow into meteors and put some type of guiding systems within the meteors, and they can put those out there, and then they can track stuff, and then ultimately guide them into certain types of planets or whatever they want to do. And it was a perfect weapon, is what they did. So I think that, the fact that we have all these meteors coming up, things that are happening. And another thing I think we should focus on is the verbiage that they're using about Artemis too, going to the moon. But you got to remember, they're not going to the moon; they're going around the moon. And all of the press says that. You listen real closely to them saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to go around the moon." So, but most people think we're going to the moon, and darn well we're not going to the moon. We're not going to land on the moon because we're told we cannot land on the moon, and we haven't done that since the way back then. And we got way better technology since then, that if we wanted to try to land on the moon, we could potentially try to do that. But now there was some Chinese expedition that went there, and I don't think they returned and came back. So I think that's something for us to really look at and think about, that My senses tell me when they go around that moon that we're going to hear a story of something happened, some malfunction maybe, or something, because they're going to get around there and see some stuff they ain't supposed to see. And there's going to be some ticked off people saying, you shouldn't be here observing us, right? And we just got to expect some news, because one thing that they're going to do is come back and say they didn't see nothing on the far side of that moon or anything else, but there is something there. Tina says, I heard that Project Hail Mary is successful in the movies and wonder why Jupiter Ascending wasn't as successful. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie Hail Mary. Who made it? What is it about? Because I haven't seen it. What's up, Doctor Strange? What's going on, brother? I haven't seen it, Tina. So what is the movie about? Let me know, and we can kind of go from that. Speaking of Hawaii, y'all remember that Hawaii, when they had the fires, right? Y'all remember the fires, and they was talking about the burns, and how Oprah and a lot of these people painted their roofs blue. And I need some of y'all to do some research, but there's rumors right now that over in China somewhere, they're all painting their roof blue for some reason. They're doing a lot of painting their roofs, like they are anticipating a Hawaiian type scenario coming, right? So maybe y'all can Google that, or maybe find it on social media or something, but that's been going around lately as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting of seeing that. We have starting to activate the children now adults. They will put in their gifted and talented programs. Okay, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there, pretty much. Artemis is going to be in trouble soon, I think. Yeah, I just said it. I just said it. I have a strong feeling that we're going to hear that Artemis is going to go through something. They're going to go through. They're not going around the far side of that moon. And of course, like they said, they're not landing on the moon. Specifically, they're not landing on the moon because we're not supposed to. We've been told not to do it. We've been told to stay away from it. And for them to be doing that, that's going to be what's going on, Tracy. What's the word? We need to talk and catch up and all that stuff over the phone. But hopefully, all is well in your world, and appreciate you being here tonight. Dr. Strange says it's been a tough year so far, but I'm handling it. What's going on with your brother? Maybe we need to talk on the phone. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you a call or reach out to you, and we can kind of talk personally. Maybe I'll reach out to you tomorrow on Saturday or something, and we can catch up. But again, so don't get caught up in that Artemis stuff, right? And you see people cheering, and oh, it's a wonderful moment. I get to witness it going to the moon. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you witnessed it, and they keep saying going around the moon. They're not, or they're gonna have some type of issues where they got to come back early, or it's going to be a lot of stuff. But whatever they're doing, they are not going to go through that scenario. They're not going to do that. So we got to be really careful with that. And pretty much, I don't know if a lot of you knew that Yaya came here to Dallas a few weeks ago. Man, we had the greatest time. She is probably one of the coolest people you want to meet. Yaya's World, if y'all seen it, we had a great turnout. People watched it on live stream. We talked about a lot of stuff. I put some clips up if you haven't watched it already, but we had 4 hours or 5 hours, and so you probably watched about 45 minutes of different things. But next week, we have Billy Carson to be here in Dallas, along with let me put on the screen real quick if I have her picture. This young lady is going to be here in Dallas, a beautiful lady. She is a Epstein survivor, Charlene. She's going to be here talking, and she just spoke at the Congress. She just spoke at Congress recently, in front of Pam Bundy and all those people. So she is going to be here as a special guest with me and Billy, and she's flying in. I just got word she'll be her tickets. She'll be here Friday afternoon, Judith. So you asked me that question today on the team. So she'll be here. Friday afternoon. So anyway, yeah. So just kind of putting that on screen. So we're doing a live event, y'all. We're doing a live event April the 11th. If some of you want to watch that event, you might want to do it. If I knew that 10 of you would buy tickets tonight for the live stream is around $63. I'll give a discount code where, maybe you get $20 off. You give it for $40, but I don't want to do it unless I know 10 of y'all is going to do it, and then I'll put it up temporarily. But we're talking 4 or 5 hours of things that you're not going to hear. Me and her are going to do a 101. You can hear me and her talk, and the advocacy, and some of the stories, and the warnings that she have for parents and for people to look out for this kind of stuff that's happening. So Charlene is going to really be talking about that. And like I said, she's good to go, man. Beautiful lady, man. Beautiful lady. Great spirit, and just uh, with a lot of courage, and she will tell you how their life is on the line, some of the threats that they get, for just telling the truth. And this is a serious thing. So I think a lot of you should be wanting to, see it. Some of you should want to support what we're doing, support Truth versus Authority. And like I said, the website is Into Truth. But if you was here, tonight, and you say, "Hey, I'll get a ticket. I'll give you a coupon," and you're talking $40 to watch us live for 4 hours. Privately, is a live stream private, and we may put some stuff. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little later. If any of you decide that you want to support us tonight, I may do that. Judith got her ticket. She's flying in. Looking forward to hearing from what Charlene has to say. Charlene with an S has to say. And we will do that. Already bought my life tickets a week ago. Thank you. Lovey, thank you for buying, Miss Jordan, your tickets and everything. We're just looking for a little more support. We want about 20 more people to watch us live, and so I'm hoping that a lot of you, because we want to put the word out, and so I know our audience could do it. Billy is gonna do some stuff. We're gonna do some more stuff there, but yeah. And if you're gonna be coming here locally, just come here locally and spend some time with us and everything else. But again, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about it. I asked her too, and I was like talking about reptilian. She started laughing, like, she's come from Canada, so she watches a lot of David Icke, and then Billy and I is going to have some deep conversations too, and we're going to be going deep on stuff, and maybe he'll, it's going to be me and him together talking, and man, it's going to be a beautiful scenario for each and every one of us. And it's April 11th. And then we're going to have some VIP, right afterwards, a private get together with a few of us in the back half of what we're doing. We're going to be doing that in pretty much. And so, again, who's going to support us? We want 20 more people to support and watch us live. And like I said, I would love to do that. And if you have already bought your ticket, and like some of you said you have, and we get those people that I give them that coupon, that I want you to email me personally, and I'm gonna send you my favorite shirt. Ask me about Reptilian Agenda, because you bought your ticket early at full price and stuff. So I just want our support. I really do. So anyway, let's put in the chat. This is a live conversation tonight for all of us. It's Friday, so let's see what we got here. Someone saying, "Hey, Roderick, supposedly Steven Spielberg had received information about alien contact given his Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and now his new movie Disclosure Day. You think he was given more information?" I think that Hollywood, there's two sides on Hollywood, okay? And speaking of cats, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I was reading in this new book, they was talking about the cats, man, and how the cats, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So, but anyway, I think that Hollywood, there's different fashions in Hollywood. There's good people, and there's ones who guide us, and ones who try to put information. And one thing in particular, what I'm noticing is that the people who are trying to give us warnings, they use Hollywood to do it in a good way, because they can disguise it in movies, even though they're telling truth, but they know the masses are not going to see it as truth. They're going to just think it's some fictional movie. And then there's ones who does things in the movies that they don't want us to know some stuff, right? And it's kind of, so back to the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, he said it back then that he was tapped into, and remember, there was a lot of people, even today, who are experts in ufology, and other travelers and different people said that that particular movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, was the best depiction of what the alien phenomenon was all over about. And that was what, 20 some 30 years ago, maybe, right? So I can't wait And we may even just get us a hot copy or something and do movie night and watch it, as a group. I know I got ways we can find a movie and release, and and I shouldn't be saying it on the air, right? But man, we just might have to go into it, and do movie night and watch that and stuff. He said, I hope they don't hurt those people on the rocket and try to say it was ET. Yeah, I don't know about hurting those people. I don't think that's going to be it. It has to be some, and we could be totally speculative about this, all of us, right? Because we thinking this way. But I will say, if the truth is discovered and they get around that dark side of that moon, the far side, and they do see what we all know exists there, and they know it exists there, and why they're exploring there, and and they think that they got to come out and they're going to say something, then that is a problem, that they don't want to get out. But this is why they're specifically using the verbiage that they're traveling around the moon. They're not landing on the moon, people. And they're not landing on the moon because they know we ain't supposed to be doing that. What's going on, Richard? Richard said what? Oh, the cat. Oh, yeah, okay, we'll get to the cats. All right. And so you have to know that they was talking about. So let me see if I find this in this particular book. But uh, this is interesting because I'm getting ready to get two cats. Okay, and I was getting them because at one of the warehouses that we have some stuff. There was some couple of you know rats and stuff been running around. I've seen some, and I'm like, you know what? And I talked to the landlord. He said you can get some cats. I'm like, if the dog is not paying attention, we have a at our other studio, we there's a big 5,000 to 6,000 square foot warehouse that's attached to the building, and man, they come in sometimes when and I'll be like, man, but he gave me permission to get a cat, so two cats. So I've been looking to adopt a couple of cats, and but anyway, if I find what I'm looking for to kind of tell you what they said, I can tell you what they said. But here's this. I'm gonna read this to y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna read it, and this is about reptilians. Okay, this is a book on reptilians. It's real good, right here. Just came out, and and he has some deep stuff, right? And Brother Yosef and I talks about cats and everything. Our godmother Deanna's in the house. Diana, what's going on? And but anyway, let's go into the cat. We were told not to return to the moon. You got that ding all right. We really was. And all right, so let's go into real quickly about cats. All right, who all got cats? Period. You might want to hear this. Who got cats? Put it in the chat if you got. And I'm not. Let me make some. I'm specific. We're talking fur kitty cat. With claws and whatever. Because we all adults here and stuff. And y'all got jokes and stuff. But who has a cat? Okay. My cat chose me. Okay, Nina has a cat. Somebody else got three of them. So y'all want to hear this? I'm gonna read this stuff. She said, Teresa said I got two cats, but one of them was lost. I got an orange cat. All right, so this is a book about reptilians. Okay, and what they're saying is that there is a feline code. All right, and they said how cats reveal the ancient reptilian hybrid agenda. All right, so let me kind of read this a little bit. All right, it says. First and foremost, let's be clear that cats are benevolent creatures of source, and they're holders of mystical energy and divine presence. If you remember in the movie The Mummy, that every time that the mummy saw a cat, the cat will make him, because the cat saw the underworld, right? But anyway, in ancient Egypt, they point to this insertion. So the pre-Gnostic Egypt said cats were defied as Beset in Sekhmet or whatever, and the goddess of power and protection. And this elevation was not more or mere cultural whim, but it was the deliberate act of what they called the reptilian agenda. And they said the feline deities depicted with serpentine feathers and suggest a hidden hybridization. Now, let me continue. Let me hide this real quick. But listen, we're going to go deeper. Domestic cats appeared suddenly around 10,000 years ago with no intermediate fossils. They just came out of nowhere overnight and they transformed into what they call a perfect companions and a unnatural acceleration of traits pointing to deliberate alteration. Now they call it the dino DNA, the mitochondrial manipulation that they did on cats, right? So they saying cats carry, listen to me real closely for all of you got cats. Cats carry a unique reptilian viral marker and chromosome links to ancient saurian species, and that their mitochondrial DNA shows an abrupt halt in the mutation. So somehow they stopped it and genetically capped to freeze their evolutionary clock. Now, this mitochondrial DNA is the literally battery pack that get passed down from mom to kid in every animal, and it picks up tiny defects and changes over time. But listen to this though. In house cats, those slight defects almost stop appearing right when they became pets 10,000 years ago, and weirdly, it was frozen compared to other wild animals. Now, this only happens if it's someone deliberately protected the ends of the DNA, like they really did this. Now, listen, I'm going to go deep. They saying that they were engineered predatory design. The cats have retractable claws, just like they have enhanced night vision and extremely agility. They feature unparalleled like other terrestrial mammals, suggesting that they are non-terrestrial optimization. The hybridization of feline grace with reptilian precision, and it's a hybrid magic. Okay, so they said, listen, cat's body has extreme spinal flexibility and what they call rightening reflex that permits survival of falls from heights that produce lethal kinetic energy in all mammals comparable size. The shiny layers in the cat's eyes, they call it the tapian lucidium, reflect and glow super bright when light hits it, just like reptiles. They said echoes of a reptile connection, the slit pupils, the hissing that the cats make, akin to serpent behavior, the Jacobson organ that a cat has, the scent sensors mirroring reptilians, and then a cold, unblinding stare that echoes what they call the reptilian gaze. Cats has a cardiovascular neuron odyssey repeatedly noted in veterinarian, persistent what they call the left cranium. In reptiles, the lizards, the crocodiles, this is their vein. And just like the reptilians or dinosaurs or whatever, they're saying that these cats have scales like skin texture on their nose and feet. And it just goes on and on. And so, again, they're saying that. Now, what they're also saying that not all cats' DNA activate this genetic thing where they can see the reptilians. Some of them do and some of them don't. You may have two cats in your house. One of them can see reptilians and one of them can't. So we need to get a whole bunch of them and start bringing them around and saying that and literally see what's happening with their. Someone said a cat chose them. You know, it's kind of funny because there is a video going around where these people put all these people in this veterinarian place and they let the dogs out and dogs walk into a room. It's hundreds of people and the dog will walk up to who they choose. It's really emotional and everything else. All right, so anyway, let's continue to go down this thing. We was just talking about the moon. We was just talking about everything else. But you know, I'm getting deeper and deeper. I just did a video. I think some of y'all seen some of it where we were talking about the reptilians, and I just did a remake of a video I did the other day where I was talking about Python Mountain, where they had the oldest worship, right, when religion first started. You know, back in Africa, it was like 70,000 years ago. They found this in 2006. They found a cave in this cave. And here's something I made a discovery today while I was doing the video. And you know, they talked about this cave that I'm talking about in the video and how it had a back, like a, not a back entrance, but a hidden compartment where the shaman will go into the cave and speak through the python's mouth. And was the first word of God that people heard in Africa, where it all started before religion now. And this was probably the beginning of religion. And but here's the funny part about it. I was just doing the video today and it hit me like a ton of bricks when I was like, yeah, you know, the Vatican has Python or snake hall and the Pope speaks through the mouth of the serpent. these people mimicking that. So back in Africa 70,000 years ago in Python Mountain, they found a hidden chamber where the shaman or reptilian, whatever, will go behind it and hiss and speak through it. And the echoes were designed, and all these people will come miles and miles away to worship the python. And now all of a sudden, the Vatican is doing the same thing that happened 70,000 years ago, where the Pope speaks through the mouth of the python. I'm like, wow, that was just really interesting and everything else. So I did a remake with my smart board on that, and so it's kind of strange because when we talk about it, we think about religion and the ties to it, but I think it gets to a point where a lot of people, may not want to know that we were, hybrids of some type of reptilian civilization and everything. All right, who else got any other questions though? Let's go with it. Let's talk to me tonight. And then I want to thank all of you who have been signing up for the phone consultation just to hear some of the stories and the things that some of you deal with, and being able to help and being able to I get some identity for you, and especially with all the experience that I have and all the interviews and stuff that I've done, just to know that people are dealing with things. It's just amazing to be able to do that. But anyway, I've been doing phone consultations. If you go to truthversusauthority.org, um, and I was busy this week, and just listening to you all and being able to really shed some light for some of you people, I think it's just pretty interesting. Is that book you available on ebook? No, I bought this on Amazon. Uh, it's called The Undermined. It just came out. So I got it on Amazon. It's kind of weird and really weird. At first, I thought it was maybe some AI stuff, but then once I start looking at the context, it's someone sharing their story, insights, some real good information, though, real good information. So I got it on Amazon a couple of days ago, Tina, from there. But anyway, so again, um, we should be expecting, especially with AI, transhumanism, all the things that they're talking about, we should be expecting a big, significant change in a lot of stuff in our faces, right? I think all of us need to begin to start thinking about what we're seeing and what we're not seeing, right? And it's really important to do that. And it's something that, you should be able to uh, know that they're saying that the AI, and when you start reading, like I'm reading in this book, I don't read like so many books that they all talk about the planned action of AI, transhumanism, almost like that three whatever movie, the three whatever. What's up, Jay? In the house, he's saying what's going on, what's up, what's up, and it's almost like, all this stuff is orchestrated. It's like the whole plan, and we're just working out this script and everything else, and so it's pretty interesting. I am so shocked that a lot of you don't have questions and anything, and maybe I don't have an answer for it that you would want to know. I don't know, but I'm really just grateful that you all are here tonight and we're just talking. But again, for those who just hopped in with us, we uh, next Saturday during the day, from 11 to 3, you should be watching the private live stream of Billy Carson in Dallas, myself, and the Epstein survivor. Charlene is going to be here in Dallas. You all should be watching that. If you can't come down here in Dallas, you should be watching it. And then hopefully you'll do it to support what we're doing so we can keep these things happening. And when you do come to Dallas, we're still here for you. You know what I mean? And if you go to the website and do it, so I'll just put the website up for those of you, if you're going to get your ticket, definitely go and get the ticket. There you go, right there, intertruth.com. If you go to Inner Truth, you're going to see the banner. And this is April the 11th. Billy Carson. We have Charlene Rocher, who's going to be our special guest as well. And you want to check us out, man. And hopefully, if you did get a ticket right while we're talking, I'll give you a shout out. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking virtual. If you can't watch it, come live, then get your virtual ticket and support what we're doing. We're going to take the live stream link down early because we have to individually mail out those things. It's not a system doing it, and so we don't want to get caught up where people trying to get stuff, trying to get it at the last minute on that Saturday because we won't be able to get them to tap in. So it's a perfect opportunity for you to do that. Let's see what we got here. Someone said, I don't know about you, but it seems that everyone in the White House is non-human. Let me say this. I say that 80%, and we all said it's not just me, but 80% of our people that's in our governments and everything else are not human, okay? They're just not. And we should know that by now as a group. In fact, I do have a clip that Nancy Pelosi, listen to this clip. I think I have it. Um, and I think I have it on here. I'm going to play it, but I want y'all to listen to what she says and how she says it. And this is truth. This is truth. You can't get around this. Listen to this clip.
They didn't know what they were talking about. We know we're different from the presidential. We're very discreet, reptilian, cold-blooded. These are the races we have to win. Others are winning the whole country. 10.
She said it right there, y'all. There you go. In real time, she kind of paused. She called herself, but there you go. She said it. And then she says, these are the races, and then she said reptilian, and then she stopped and go, we have to win. And she almost said that I don't believe. Honestly, I don't think Trump is a reptilian. I think he's part of another faction. But there's other reptilians there, and they go head to head because he was taking on the Federal Reserve, and we already know the Illuminati and the Rothschilds, and they are a part of that bloodline, the elite bloodline, and so therefore, and that's just my thing. But you heard what she said, that, and she put it out there right there in plain sight, and that is something that is again, wide open information that we should be thinking about. But yeah, they said it 80%. Um, but if you trace that all the way back to the Merovingian bloodlines, you trace it all the way back to the original stories, then it makes sense that they're still here. They've been here. And I said it before, I challenge anybody in here to go and do your homework. Go look up that every culture, every ancient culture predate religion, all at some point worship some type of serpent. Now, what I'm also discovering that is not negative, that when those beings of light came, the serpents, when they first came to reptilians. Now, okay, so the story goes that there was some type of man here, and then they came here, and we were some type of Earth was kind of a water planet, and so they came here, and they like, okay, this is their home or whatever, and then all of a sudden that the Anunnaki end up coming, and then they came for resources, and the reptilians was already here, and the Anunnaki was like, okay, hey, we want y'all to work for us, and the reptilians like, no, I'm not doing that, supposedly, and then they got into it a little bit, and then the Galactic Federation showed up and said, hey, y'all got to get off this planet. We don't want y'all intervening. Some of them left, some of the reptilians left, and some of them stayed, like the royal bloodlines, like, we want to stay because they treat us like kings here. And then that started what we come into today. So it's always a story behind the stories of, but it does tell us that they've been here and been here for quite some time. And through different dimensional. Now, not all of them can shapeshift, right? Not all of them. And even though you and myself, all of us have that DNA, not all of them can shapeshift, but they, depending on how much DNA, how much that active DNA that they have, that they can shapeshift. And not everyone is those type. But then you got the draconians. Now, I'm also reading a book. There's something called Ciarcar, CIA-CAR, which is supposedly a queen reptilian. She's supposed to be albino, and she's supposed to be the most powerful psychic of all the reptilians. And then underneath her is seven other female reptilians, which is her daughters. And then underneath them is the Draco reptilians that she has, which are the winged serpents and all of that, which are pretty strong. And then underneath them are the kind of a what they call a scientist type hype. They not hybrid reptilians, and then underneath them is where the human hybrid is, which you have the Illuminati bloodlines, and then there's one old faction underneath them. So suppose there's a high, yeah, yeah, there you go, yeah. CIARKIR something, but yeah, so those supposedly be a hierarchy of system that they are doing. And again, when you back up with the Galactic Federation and all of them came and said, hey, you got to get off this planet. And so they always thought that this was theirs. Now we were here before they were here, but we wasn't the intelligent species that we are now. There was just some type of, and that's probably before Neanderthals too. But there was some type of homage of a man, Homo sapien, or hominoid of man that we were, which is where you get the Eve and Adam and Eve story, and then where you get the serpent came with knowledge, right? Which goes back to that when you start talking about the Kundalini awakening, awakening your Kundalini, and you start talking about why the ancient Egyptians and all these people knew that there was knowledge, because I truly believe that there was a group of serpents that came to enlighten us, right? There was a group that initially came to enlighten us, and it wasn't until they left that the watchers, okay, that they left behind to watch over what they were doing, violated everything, and then began to breed with the daughters of men, and then the Nephilims and the giants and all of that was born. So there was a whole lot of, over this millions of years of evolution of things that happened. But in that time, we had, blue avians, we had dolphin type people, we had all these different species that was bipedal, and then they ultimately evolution became dolphins in the oceans, and then people, we are who we are now, and all these things. So we just think about us as humans been around 5,000 or 100,000 years. I can even give us a million, uh, but the earth been here a billion years. So and there's been a lot of great resets and stuff too. So that's thinking pretty much. She says that's interesting, as it feels to me that the seven sisters of shadow come from an Alpha Draconia, and the seven sisters of light come from Pleiades. Okay, well, see, I'm just learning that, not just learning, but I started studying it a while back. I don't talk about it Latino, but yeah, there's supposed to be a prime albino, Sikar, spelled Ciakar or something like that. That's where they come from, and she is the divine reptilian, and then she has seven daughters under her, and then the Afro Draconians males are under the seven. So the seven are the ones who control the different areas and dimensions, and then the African Draconian males under that, and then they have the hybrids types, or what they want to call them, and then you have the grays and the other. So there's so many mixtures, but there are so many species of reptilians. So we're thinking they all are one, but it's not. It's a whole bunch of them. So even when they talk about the Anunnaki wasn't just the Anunnaki. These were bloodlines. So you have Inky bloodline, Enlil bloodlines. You have all these different bloodlines, which was reptilian mix, by the way, and so they could do that. Someone says, could the reptilians be ready for their own disclosure? No, absolutely not. Um, in fact, the whole system is for them to protect the secret, because the one thing they don't want us to do is have that knowledge, and that is crazy. If we uh, yeah, that the whole thing is built on them hiding, right? In fact, that was one of the rules that the Galactic Federation, a lot of them was like, you can't tell the humans that you exist. And it's almost like what the spiritual thing, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to make like he wasn't real, right? So it all falls in line with the historic stories. But they're not ready for the disclosure. In fact, if they knew, if humans knew who was running this, who was in control, we will rebel because we outnumber them, right? Billions. We outnumber them by billions. And so they fear that, but they protect it wholeheartedly with lethal, implications of protecting the secret at all times. But I do believe that there are some good reptilians out there. That's why I always put it out there, and of course, our last group meeting, someone walked up and said, hey, I'm reptilian, and so, we meet these people, and there's some that have more bloodline than others. But I'm talking about the one that's going to sit right there and shapeshift. And you get a lot of stories. I get a lot of people say they with their girlfriends and the person shapeshift right in front of them and everything else. And so those are one of the things. You're right. Is it Janine? How do I pronounce that? So Janine, you're correct. Earth been around 4.5 billions of years, and so and think of human civilization. We're talking five. We're talking religion 5,000 before, after AD, after death of Christ, right, or before Christ, and that's why it's so wild, Janine, that a lot of people are not like they can't figure out two plus two, and that we Earth been around so long. Wouldn't you think that religion was manufactured? And I didn't say spirituality. We're talking about religion, and I've said it before. If any of us was sitting here on an island and, before technology allowed us to fly, and all we can do is just sit back and be like, yeah, baby, look at the stars and that's God and all that stuff. Then all of a sudden, something fly down and land, and it's got light and fire and brimstone and all this stuff, and then it walks out and say, I'm your God. Then you're going to bow down to it, and all of a sudden it goes, wait a minute. And I said it in the video I just created. When they did the Python Mountain, when they did this, they ended up having these red arrows. They only wanted the red ones, and that's what they discovered, that they would bring and burn the red ones. And there you go. That lets you know how we inverted from them just telling them bring red ones to blood rituals now, because blood is red, right? And so it's just so many things that these people have inverted and done those things to us that is just really crazy. I heard about a guy that he's missing again. I don't know. He's missing again. I didn't know that. Which guy you're talking about, Diana? Yeah. And so Tracy said trillions of years. Yeah. So Earth has been here a long time. And you got to remember, Earth was a water planet. The temperature was different. Even, what's his name? Dr. Z. York or whatever, he talks about it, that the planet also was water. And it was reptilian water. And when they wanted to get rid of the reptilians is why the moon came. So they came and parked the moon, and then the moon was the trigger to begin to change the seasons and change the climate, so that the reptilians had to go underground as well because of the climate. But I've done videos and showed y'all that we're think about it. We are in water when we're not breathing through that umbilical cord, right? When we're in our mother's stomach, the umbilical cord is giving us food and nourishment. So our mouth is sitting there, right? We're in water. We're water beings. We're born in an egg of water, and then of course, at this point, from the grays and the transformation of how we change. So it's definitely something there. What's going on? Hello, Bella. Belle. Here got a question. Do you think they would really show us what's on the dark side of the moon? Not even a chance in hell. And if they did show us something, uh, Chronicles, it will be what they want us to see. But what they see, they're not going to show us. No, what they're going to find and but you got to remember, they know it's there. They're now just trying to be curious. And Artemis tried to get off the ground many, many times. So, so we can expect a malfunction within the next few days that they have to turn back. We can expect that if they go on that far side of that moon, that nobody's coming back. There's going to be some calamity, and we can expect a few things. But whatever it is, I do know that they are not going to do that, and that should tell us enough too, because the moon always have the far side is always dark. There's never any light on it. So is the moon going around us, or are we traveling around it, or whatever happens? But whatever it is, that thing is designed to keep a dark side, because at some point they knew technology wise we was going to have telescopes and everything else. And speaking of that, we're looking for the space right now. We're going to do a UFO night watch party here in Dallas, right? So we may not see nothing, but we all gonna hang out with our little tents and barbecue grills or whatever, and we're gonna be doing a UFO night watch party. So we're gonna be doing that as well. So we got a lot going on. And oh, the guy said the dolphins kidnapped him. He said dolphins kidnapped him and he was building their cities. I don't know about that part, about him building their cities, or maybe he was helping doing something, like, whatever. But I have heard that there are certain areas on the ocean beaches that they have signs up that tell people don't walk out there at night because there are some humanoid creature that comes up and draw them mythology into the water and take them, and they actually got signs up about this in certain places. So those are one of the things there. Pureblood said, wrong. What are we wrong about, Pureblood Lee? And he said, the moon is like a fixed eye that always stares. All right. So, yeah. And Tracy said, trillions. Yeah. So I think it's pretty interesting that once we start thinking about those things. But yeah, what are you talking about, Pureblood? He said the rocket went up with the astronauts even on the rocket. The rocket went up. Were they? Yeah, well, supposedly they was there. We really don't know. They can tell us what they want to tell us, right? They show us what they want to show us. But at the end of the day, it's possible that we can do that. Someone says, can we be invited to camp out? Yeah, everybody, our whole community. We have movie nights. We have, this is why we're doing these live stream events too. We're live stream and in person. So, what I'm concerned about, Bella, the most, and I use this word concern, anybody who works closely enough to me is knowing that uh, when I started this journey at the parks last year, it was an incredible journey to start outside, and we started doing stuff. But it definitely cost us a little bit, to do that. And sometimes I have to try to sell tickets to different stuff, and people get a little pissed off, and it's been the most unnerving, eye-opening experience, because we want the truth, but it's like, and I don't know why I'm saying this, and it has nothing to do with the outing, but well, I guess it does, because we're gonna have to rent the places that we're gonna be going, and secure those things. But yeah, you're invited. Everybody's invited. Our movie nights, people are invited. We're doing a kind of a lake event. We're going to do in about a month or so. We're going to be out at the lake. Everybody's invited to come down, and hopefully at some point we can then get other people to do stuff in different areas over time as we grow our community, and do stuff. But I need everybody's support, man. This is tough. It's tough. It's tough bringing the speakers in. It's tough bringing people in to give us information, and this is what they do. And luckily, we have a lot of favor, because I know a lot of these people. So sometimes the cost is not maximum, but it still costs us, from airlines to different stuff. And I wish and I know it's tough on a lot of people, right? I know financially it can get tough, and so we're doing everything in our power to do some stuff, and hopefully after this particular event, we're looking for other influencers locally, people that talk about stuff, so we can, you know, we're going to do every 2 weeks. We'll have panels and stuff up here. And those particular live streams that we're going to do will be $5 or $10, and hopefully everybody can watch them on Saturdays while we're live and ask the questions, so we can start bringing people in a little different, because we got to get deeper into the truth, y'all. We got to get deeper in the truth. But again, you're welcome, Bella. When that time happens, if you see the website Enter Truth, it'll be posted there, so people can do that, and pretty much. And so yeah, so we're gonna do a night watch party. Hopefully y'all can kind of come out, and we'll park our cars. We got to find a place that don't have a lot of light pollution. So we're looking at where it's gonna be completely dark. Now, the place that we did end up finding, I'm a little more concerned about that, because it's real dark, like really dark, but they got mosquitoes. It's like, mosquitoes that be biting cows and stuff, and I got that body heat, and I'll be the only one. So I'm gonna try to find like a mosquito net for myself or something. But I think some of the mosquitoes, when you're out there in the wilderness, that little regular off stuff don't work. I don't think they care too much for it. I don't know. But we got to take that in consideration too, where we go. But we'll be prepared. I think we can put out little flames of centinela and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be beautiful. You know, we're going to sit out and maybe we all come together and close our eyes and channel and get one of them to show up, right? You know, like a CE5 experience or something. So, we're going to do all of that, but everything leads into those things. Them country bugs. You're right. Is something there. Someone says the truth, you're stuck on Earth and should be addressing how to escape the trap. Yeah. I mean, we talk about this being a soul trap. I mean, the prison planet in some ways, right? Uh, and that is something that I think we all kind of discuss all the time. And it is, a conversation that should be had and will be had. Roderick, they have fake applause of people watching the rocket go up. That's when I knew. Well, let me tell you, I think it's a little different. I don't think they I don't think they had the mass of people like really caring like they did in the past. Everybody's like, oh, cheering because people don't really give a damn with what's going on from there. So there we go. That would be awesome. Okay, yeah. So someone says, were you in an elevator? Where are you in the elevator? No, I'm in. I don't have all of my studio equipment with me. I'm at our event center. So we have two locations. We have a Dallas location, and then in the Kennedale area where our command center is, where I have all the fancy lights and audio and the audio boards and all of that. So right now I'm speaking from the webcam mic that's sitting here, and I'm at my work desk. Working on the events and stuff. So we are here from there. And but hopefully you can hear me okay. But yeah, it's my desk is a mess. I wish I can show you. Also, we're gonna have there's a couple of things that we're gonna have at the event. And let me see if I can show y'all. I think I have it here, and maybe not. And it's going to be really important that we know those things. Let me see. I think I do. Yeah, I do. So let me show y'all something there. Let me take this off screen, but no, I'm not in an elevator. Um, but all right, so I want y'all to let me get my notes here. Not my notes, but this thing here. So there was a guy that is a real cool guy, and I bought this to kind of show y'all. I think it's in here. Should be in here. And there we go. So let me put this up on the screen. So right here says, right there on the screen, it says owl. This is kind of like I wouldn't say a spell of knowledge, but the creator of this does different type of things to enlighten, and he talks about the owl, and it says the owl is the eyes of night, silent flyer through the dark skies. Lend me your vision that I may find my way to secret knowledge. Teach me to listen that I may hear wisdom, and when it moves in the world, right, unite my heart and my mind and let me feel your wings opening in my life. Luminous Owl is our mascot. It's because of that. And so what we're going to be doing at the event, we don't have a 7 or 8 of these. Look at this, y'all. This is a mala, if you know about malas, but it also is going to have the luminous owl, okay, on that mala. So we're going to have 7 of these. We only have 7 this time. And then you're going to also receive your owl. I call it a spell, magic, right? But when you read this and activate it, this is going to work itself. As you know, Brother Yosef, Judith is our crystal custodian, and all of this stuff is going to be with energy. You get it all done, but these are custom special for us. And this, again, is our Luminous. This is our trademark Luminous, which, Luminous is the owl of sight. So always going to put that together. But so it's going to be a mala, and then I'm going to get the guy to write. Everybody's going to receive their own. This is a parchment paper, so you can frame it, but it's going to activate, which I've already done because this is how I see the unseen, and it's beautiful. And we're only going to have 7 of these at the event, and unless somebody wanted it before and we ship it out to you or whatever. But we're just trying to we're going into the world of what we need to do. Somebody told me the owl ate all of my bullfrogs out of my pond. Yeah, you got to put some mice out there for them, and give them an owl sacrifice of mice and stuff like that. Yeah, crystal amplify the energies we seek. Yes, and so yeah, we're again we're going to be doing some stuff, and really doing that. Now, once again, I've said it before. If y'all just hopped in with us, Charlene is going to be here in Dallas, and I'm so proud of her and these all these women, man, that have gone through. But she just spoke at the UN. These are the Epstein survivors, and so she's going to come down and share what she can with us. She can't tell us everything because they're still in court stuff, and some stuff can get you, unalive, right? And but just to hear the stories, just to see the connection, and we're bringing her down. And thanks for our inner team of supporting that and helping me get there, because her here and all of these things. And then Billy is going to be here at the same time, so it's like a double thing. And I would love for some of you to watch us online if you can. Go to intotruth.com, and we're not talking. It's like $60 or something. To 4 hours of unedited stuff, but a great time. But it support what we're doing. And like I said, I'm hoping at some point that 20 more people. That's my goal. That will watch us online, and just and keep our stuff functioning. And if that is you, and you're blessed to be able to do that, then definitely go there and join us, right, and watch us and everything else. And but I do know it's tight, and but it's tax season. Maybe you got a little left over or whatever. But after this, I'm trying to figure out how we can do things that's even a little more, $10 stuff that people can watch and do. And but we're trying to really, we have to work really hard to get our truth out, not being censored. And you cannot, I repeat, you cannot trust 6 months from now, a year from now, you can't trust a lot of stuff that you're going to see on the airways. I was watching an AI video, and the girl says, I'm made with AI, right? They were promoting the product. And it was like, she's drop dead gorgeous, right? And just like real as it can get, personality and just talking, and they had different scenes, but it wasn't real. And so we have to get to live, touchy events where people can feel and touch real people and real knowledge and watch real things if you're doing it from abroad. And we have to make that our mission. Otherwise, there's going to be some people replaced, and we're not going to know it. We're going to be sitting here watching somebody online that's all they do is online, and they don't replace these people, and we don't even know it. Woven says, I ask humans if they are new souls, and often they say yes, then the parents must be gods. If not, why don't you remember where you came from? Well, the remembering thing is it. That's the whole key. Everything is for us not to remember, right? I think that's the whole journey that all of us should be on, is to remember. If any of us is on that journey to remember, then that takes all of it. At any given point, right? Somebody said I can't remember last Friday. Well, and so and that's all done by trauma. Trauma gets us to a point where we can't remember certain things. Trauma, does a lot of stuff that uh, but there's a lot of traumas and triggers, right? That I think people should, we all got to go down that rabbit hole and begin to, save and help ourselves on the trauma. And so, yeah, it's funny. I think it's things that we could do. But yeah, um, remembering is the key. sometimes we can leave this realm and come back with a little piece of more remembering, or sometimes you can do things and remember more open. But most people, once they're open and then they don't get trapped and they get out, then these people will come back what we call incarnated, and where they chose to come back to help civilization. And most of them are kind of remembering already when they get here, and they know that they got a purpose to perform, and they do go perform that purpose. But often cases that is not the case in a lot of scenarios where we're coming back and trying to see some things, pretty much. But yeah, it's interesting from there. If y'all didn't know, I've been on 11 different TV shows. If you didn't know, you can find me right now. I think some of my shows on that I've been in is on Fox Tubi, Gaia, with Regina Meredith, and then of course George Norris show. I've been on Coast to Coast Radio, featured on History Channel, Ancient Aliens. Discovery Plus channel. I hosted a show there. Amazon Video, HBO, and I met a lot of people. And I've got a lot of people in my phone that that you watch every day on TV, or government hearings and all that stuff right here on my phone. And I'm trying now to see about getting these people to come to a live structure with us so that we can meet and touch, and you can meet these people. But we got to get our core group of people and to support what we're doing, and those people who see the vision and everything else. And so the most difficult part is, again, pulling this off. But I think we now got our foundation. I know we have our foundation ready, and now everything is kind of just go there. Someone said she'll continue doing 6-hour lives. That was dope. Yeah, that was back in the day. That was when I was young, last year, a year or two ago. We would do 6, 9, 12 hours, and, Freaky Fridays, and kind of go forever. And now I'm like, okay, let's just try to do it a little different, because of, and at that time too, I was, even though I am still today, but I was really, really single-minded, and I was like, I ain't have shit else to do, and y'all didn't have nothing to do, we didn't have nothing to do, so let's just talk it out Friday nights and go. And now, I would try to, I'm working, so I'm working pretty much, and would hope that, on a Friday I will probably be doing some other stuff. But the future says someday, maybe I'll be at a movie or something, or out, somewhere. But right now I'm here. Yeah, the old days was good. We had our opening, truth seekers, and I would open up with my music, and I don't even know if I still have it on my thing, I will be like, do I have it here? So I'll be like, let me see if I have it. Yeah. Um, nope. But I don't know. Let me see. Oh, so I can't hear nothing. But if you heard it, then you will hear it. But yeah, we used to have different music, and then we would open up and say different things. And yeah, so a lot has changed. We'll get back to it though. We'll get to it, and I miss it sometimes too. And we can, but I used to go Truth Seekers, located in a jumbo state where those UFOs come out to play. It's a Texas thing, y'all, and yeah, we used to have a lot of fun. And we still will, but I think we have now progressed to really get into those things. And oh, y'all heard the music? Oh, well, I didn't hear it. That's why I didn't say nothing. Had I heard it, I would have gave y'all a little piece of action. So that's why I kept turning it off and stuff. So I didn't hear anything on my speakers and stuff. Yeah, so the live show where other ones doing, yeah, people falling asleep on the camera. Yeah, audio Rob. Yeah, yeah, and what's so funny about it? I need to call my guy. The name of the podcast is Wide Awoke Podcast. I didn't think about it, but he used to be right here falling asleep, but the name of his podcast is Wide Awoke Podcast. So, what kind of transition in that? That's funny. Yeah, I need to bring it up to him when I talk to him again, and pretty much. But yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we've grown a lot. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate, where we began and where we are now and where we're going, and I wish some of you could was here to see the progress that we made on the ground, the facilities, the things that we're doing, and that, once we get the blueprint, we can take it on the road and really do it. And it's just a beautiful world of what we're doing. In fact, we're planning the first. This with two different organizations. The New Life Tribe with Brother Yosef in our community, and we're going to do the first kind of conscious relationship talk. So we're planning that for August, and so y'all need to mark your calendars and fly down to that, right? And because I think there's an epidemic of all the awakened people that are single, and people got all this higher knowledge but no relationship, and and meeting the right people, and I'm included. I'm with, and it's a personal testament of, but for me, I think it is how I do and what I do, and trying to do it, and having the right person supporting the movement of what I'm doing, and oftentimes, having that support. But in the real world, there's a lot of people out there that, that we are saying that I'd rather have peace, and I'm trying to come up with the acronym, but there's something about that word peace. There's something about the word peace, and it's starting to mean something else, though, and so anyway, that's just a conversation we're going to have. We're going to talk about it. Thank you, Tina. She said you're loved, and I used to do that. I used to make sure I tell everybody, I love you, and I haven't heard it, and whatever, and I got a heavy dose of that too, and a lot has changed, to where my outlook of is different. You know, Learning who to trust and not to trust anymore, and because I was always pretty open, so now that circle is tight, is closed, and I've just learned the heartfelt lesson that you just cannot, and it's sad, but like I said, I fall in the same category. You just don't know who to trust, how you're going to trust people. One group is with you one week, and then next week they're teamed up against you, and then this week and it's all about, and not, and they all help in their ways of helping, but at the end of the day, I'm now starting to go that, except for a few people like Judith and a few others that are here, that's been around, not everybody's going to be here forever. There's going to be somebody I'm going to piss off, or maybe I said something different, or maybe, things in their head tell them to move on, or maybe it's just crazy, the unity these days of what we have. But my job is just to continue to do what I'm doing. And but that relationship thing is going to be really, really strong to do, and we're going to have a lot of fun again. We're going to do that. But um, is there anything else? I mean, we've been here about an hour or so. We can continue to talk a little bit, or we can get on out of here and let you go on your Fridays. I just wanted to kind of give you updates on what we're doing, maybe answer some questions, maybe have some conversations that we wanted to have. I can go anywhere with conversations, so this is not structured. I didn't structure an outline and say we're going to talk about this, except for maybe some things, but in hopes that a lot of you, you know, would at this point, engage into the conversation, and we can put some things up and talk about a few things. But the other goal is to get whoever, some of you, to get your, watch this live and anything else. Is there, and everything else. Someone says, I am Bird Lady 65. I am, or are you talking about Judy? Oh, love y'all. Okay, yeah, yeah. And yeah, y'all know how we do it. You make sure we put everybody love into the chat. And well, in fact, how many single people are here? How many of you are not in a relationship, or maybe in a relationship, but you're not in a relationship? Well, we're not gonna say that. If you got somebody you sleeping on the side with, that you still sleeping on, they're laying on the bedside with you, then y'all in the same bed together, right? But I'm talking about some people that just not. Someone says, on movie night that you have scheduled, what are you showing? We're thinking about the movie Him, unless there's something else. And it'll be a little different than the last time. Last time we watched like 3 episodes, it was like forever. We're not going to do that anymore. So it'll be just one movie. We're thinking about Him and then having an open discussion after that. Um, Unless we, there's a couple other things that we're looking at, but the movie night will be next week. Let me look at the schedule. Not next week, but it'll be after the Billy, thing. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, I movie night will be. Let me look on my schedule. Um, Movie night is gonna be April 24th. And then that then 25th, we're going to have another one of our events. Okay. So movie night will be April 24th. Someone says Starseeds choose to be lonesome. Well, yeah. So that is something interesting, though, and we talk about that, so it's one of those things. Someone says, good evening, Roderick. Be yourself. Use your discernment and listen to your spirit guides. They will never guide you wrong. I'm with you on that. All right. Donna says, I have been on a date for 12 years. I'm single and just can't handle the nonsense. And that, again, is why we're doing this event, Donna, because there's got to be I'm seeing that the pursuit of knowing thyself is beginning to be a hella pursuit for people to be by themselves, right? And and I know the world is big, and we haven't dated everybody, and it's millions and billions of people, and maybe there's a connection, and like again, I've met people that I would assume I had strong connections or whatever, and then some ended up maybe abruptly, and you just don't see it coming, but you would know what but I think it's also that part of two people coming into an agreement of knowing that there's a challenge and I'm just going to go through it with you. And then once you do that, and so I don't really know the answers. I'm just looking for the exploration of it. But I do see it's common theme within our communities that, you know, being awake is being alone, And so I don't know if you're asleep while you're awake or you're alone while you're awake. And someone else says, I'm single and I have learned to be content with myself. And one day someone will have the special connection. I mean, again, there we go. And so and again, I'm not, going against you being single. I'm not going against of what you're saying. I just know that, we are, like being by ourselves, and say that. Now, for me, that's not my choice. I'm not doing it for that reason, but I'm, there's things that I will reflect on myself and try to begin to do that, whether it's financial, whatever, being a provider or you being a protector or whatever her, thing is, or whatever, it's a little different, I talk about it too, about finding or meeting true love and what is that to certain people? What does that entail? Does that mean unconditionally or with conditions? You know, we have what we call red flags, and sometimes people focus on red flags when you should pay attention to your flags and add them up. But sometimes because we're humans and we share the same unconscious world and subconscious, that sometimes we all look alike and say things and move, but that don't mean everybody's the same. I don't know. I do work on myself for me as better as I can, but I'm also open to all interpretations of someone else and pretty much. But and personally, there's just other things that we have to deal with. But that's another story. But we're gonna talk about it. I think we're gonna get to it, and since Everybody in here. Someone said respect is appreciated in relationship, and nobody owns anyone, but it's nice to not be lied to. Yeah. So I mean, there's just so many things, man, and you would think you meet that person's that you're going to connect with, and it's just open. So I don't know how we got into this, but you cannot love someone else until you love yourself. Yeah, that's true. How else do you learn to love? Yeah, that special someone can show up anytime, and it don't matter. They show up when you're not looking. I, I agree. I agree. I agree that it'll happen just like that, right? They're gonna show up while you're not looking, and then you're gonna watch them walk off because you're not looking, or everybody's not paying attention to everybody. It's just crazy. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you 100%. I agree. 100%. I think it's worth noting that all of this stuff is a strange stuff that we need to do. This show is about love after all. Nope. We're going to get out of that. We want to talk about aliens. We want to talk. I'm not too keen. I was really pushing love a lot, and I still do. I love you all, and I would go out to the other show, and then I start saying I wanted to find true love, and I wasn't careful, with that. I would say I wanted to have true love and meet true love, and then not being specific about that, and then it became community love, right? Where I'm meeting all these different people and different reasons and different things, and it boils down. You got to love you and love. Of course, you love yourself and everything else, but um, it's a challenge. But yeah, I think we all would hope to look someone in the eye and just say, I'm with you and you with me, and let's take on this world. But there's just so many conditions. And then you got spirits, you got otherworldly things that are attached. You have, yeah, there's just so many avenues, but I can honestly say, people around me would know, but I've learned my lessons, and it guides me now to a whole nother thought and scenario, and to do it, and I wish everyone, we have those experiences that we came here to experience, and all that stuff. That's all I can say, pretty much for now. I think it's best for me to continue to talk about aliens and talk about reptilians and the spirit world, the symbolism, the symbols, and everything else. So is that, yeah. And speaking of that, is there anything else in the news that's been coming across the airways that we need to discuss? Anyone else? Um, I'm looking in the chat before we get out of here. I'm just hanging out, but if it gets, my lips been moving, just constantly moving, but I'm sure there's some we can engage in other conversations. Somebody says, what do you want to know about alien humans? Tell us something. Let me put it on the screen. Where do we start? Uh, you know, what do you want to know about alien humans? What's your definition of alien humans, Woven? What do you call an alien human? And so let's start there. Someone said, I'd love to have an encounter. Yeah. And you probably already have. Sometimes we have these encounters and we don't know it. And with these alien beings, whether it's through our dreams or they walk up to you and you just don't know it, but they do. They're there, right? So all those challenges is there right in front of you. So that's pretty interesting. Mima says, I love to have an encounter. You said go to Into Truth. Oh, I don't know if that's what she's talking about, Deanna. I think she's talking about an alien encounter or something, but yeah, I'm not really for sure. All right, so yeah, again, so who's going to support us though? Who's going to get your ticket to watch the Epstein survivor, Billy Carson, and myself? And if you can't come to Dallas, who's gonna watch us? It's 1 week from today, and like I said, we're going to take the live stream portion down in a few days because we got to individually email people, and we don't have a system doing that, and so yeah. And someone says, in upcoming events, do you think the survivor would touch on shapeshifting? I don't think so. Um, You know, I mean, we could ask, but I don't think so. I mean, she's into more advocacy because of everything and how trauma it was. But I did ask the question, though. I did ask the question. So, and I don't know if she saw anything. Not everybody's going to see him shapeshift, right? Or Epstein or all these other people. They do hide it, and they supposed to. Imagine that word get out, and you wouldn't get anybody on the island, at some point. But someone said, "What do you think about the movie Begonia?" I haven't seen it. What is it about? Yeah, I haven't seen it. Someone said, "I actually think it happened when I was 8. I don't remember though." Well, I mean, we can talk about that. You can go to truthversusauthority.org, OUG, and if you want to do a phone consultation, I'll be more than listen and happy to hear what you're saying and then give you some insight on what I know from my experience of talking to hundreds of people, UFO investigator, and the knowledge that I know. You can set up a phone consultation there, and that's at truthversusauthority.org. And then we can really go deeper into your experience and encounter, and maybe after listening to you, I can give you a better assessment. And it's worth doing, worth knowing that much. That's for darn sure. To think about that. Yeah. Yeah. Shape shifting is both technological and biological. 100%. 100%. Biological is going to be DNA, and technology is the ones they're not shape shifting, but they're hiding behind it. But shape shifting is where they can show they change into human form. The other one is kind of like a holographic covering, where we don't see it, but it's kind of a holographic covering, So that takes on a whole different uh, look and feel, right, when it comes down to that, and pretty much. But yeah, I'm gonna put it back on the screen real quick before I go. If y'all don't have anything else y'all want to talk about, but and where is it? Oh, right. Well, anyway, this is right here, April the 11th. Let me take the comments down so you can kind of see. Let me hide that. But anyway, and I'll take the banner down. There you go. So yeah, so you can kind of go from there. And so Billy will be here April 11th, and then of course we're gonna have our survivor is gonna be here with us, and so this will be the event. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. People are really gonna get something from it, and it should be worth it that some of you doing come out and support it and everything else. The movie ends with Earth dying. Oh, really? Is the extraterrestrial in the end, and flat earthers will probably love it. Ha ha. And it's called Bonia. Let me write that down. Yeah. So I think you said it was Bonia? Bogana. Okay. B-U, if I'm pronouncing it right. B-U-G-I-N-I-A. B-U-G-O-N-I-A. Bogonia. Okay, yeah. So we'll check that out. We'll definitely check that out and see what's going on there. 100%. Yeah, we'll check it out and see. And yeah, I will likely do a hypnosis to dig deeper. Yeah, do a regression therapy. Go find somebody to do a regression for you. We're gonna, yeah, and that's what I would do. You just find somebody who's going to do a regression, and then that would probably be the most logical, powerful way to open up that door. And Donna says astro traveling, and I had some interesting experiences. Yeah, well, cool. I mean, it's some good stuff. Someone says, Donald again says, waiting for RV to happen, and then humanitarian project is to help women and children coming out of domestic violence and trauma. Yeah, and so Donna, I'm not selling you on this, but I would think you will be perfect to watch us online because she's looking to do advocacy. And we're talking trauma, right? The violent trauma of trafficking and all of this stuff. And just to kind of hear her experience, and she's talking about things on a congressional level, it might give you some other ideas. And so, maybe worth it, because I'm going to talk with her about an hour privately, but the live stream is going to be able to see that private talk. So, there may be something, again, that you might want to, you know, get access to. I'm just saying, because sometimes you can hear ideas and what other people are going through, and she's on a national scale, national level, and so she might get some insight. And then we are taking questions during the live stream, so there'll be somebody answering questions, and so we can do it. No problem. Waiting on the cash wave. Shoes, I get it, 100%. For the cause or whatever. But what I'll tell you to do, since you are working on your advocacy, email me, Donna, at uh, contact at whythebigsecret.com. Okay, email me at contact whythebigsecret.com, and I will personally donate a link to you so you can see it, because I do believe in what you're trying to do. And so therefore that connection needs to be made, right? And just make sure, for me doing that for you, that you ask some questions that maybe we can get an answer to help you help other people. Okay, and so let that be my gift to you. Okay, but you got to reach out. If you don't reach out, then it don't work. Okay, contact at whythebigsecret.com, and I'll on the day of the thing, I'll send you an invite link. Okay, on truth versus authority. Okay, we'll do that. So if that will work for you, and then when the cash flow comes, do something else good with it as well. But definitely don't want to stop you from doing what you're called to do, and know that, because that's not what we're here for. Okay, we're here to help. Yeah, so just contact at whythebigsecret.com, and then reach out to me for that. Someone said, what would happen when humans realize they're stuck in an animal dimension? They may start acting. Well, we all got that animal in us, right? But I get what you're saying. I don't think, and we was talking about that earlier at the beginning with cats, in the dimensions of, because in the beginning we all had some type of crossbred animals in us, dolphin and blue avian, lyrian cats and birds, and there was a lot of human cross species, right? And then we evolved, but I think it all is there, and so those are something to really think about. So yeah, we can definitely do that. I don't know what the humans are going to do when they find out the truth, but this is why they fight so hard to keep us from knowing anything, right? Mima or whatever, or 4652. That's the whole plan, is that people are not going to know. But you can wake people up one person at a time, but a group, you're not going to be able to do it. So they control that. They keep that down. They make sure that um, that's not going to go down, and that's not going to happen. So I think it's something to kind of look at. Wisdom says, "What's going on?" Born in '68, so we'll say hello to Wisdom, um, and of course we already know who that is, and all that good stuff. And it's that Masonic, yeah, tether. Yeah, we had a conversation yesterday about that, Irene. So I think it's something to that more people want to know as well, and starting that podcast and all those things that we want to do. So it's an interesting thing that we want to look at in the real world, I should say. And there's just so many hidden elements that it is interesting, that it's right in our faces, and stuff that we need to kind of look and see. Um, all right. So with that being said, I guess we'll get ready to get out, and hopefully that us being live tonight, just kind of talking. We could go on forever, but or for hours and hours and hours. But in the meantime, we're just doing what we're doing. So I want to thank, each and every one of you for you know, just being who you are, you know, and being who you are and supporting the channel, you know, watching our videos and everything else, because, you know, it's been an incredible journey, and we're still got a long way to go, but we done came a long way, right? And so at this time, I will tell you, put in the chat that I love you all. For the people who know that, you know, and if you have not heard that I love you over this week, I will tell you I love you. And so therefore you understand that love is a powerful thing. And, you know, and hopefully, you know, as we go down this thing, and all you people that are by yourself and with yourself and love yourself could be loved on by someone else. All right, brother, I love you too, you know, and, you know, you could be loved on. and I think that would be a interesting part to do it. We'll be back Monday. I'm gonna upload the new video that I'm doing with my little board screen that I'm learning to do, and for that. But it is Friday night, and enjoy your Easter if you celebrate everything. But today is Good Friday, so that's a good thing. And you can kind of do some good stuff there. So, all right, y'all take it light, and I will see you soon. On Monday, I'm gonna upload this video, so make sure y'all watch it. Good night.
UFOs. UAPs. Unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Who are they? Where are they from? And what is their intent?
All questions that immediately come to mind with the mention of UFOs.
A Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings, more than 350 since 2021. Many of them are explained as being drones, birds, or weather events, but about half of them remain unexplained.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
My gosh.
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
This video taken by the Navy showing what he describes as pyramid-shaped UFOs flying over the USS Russell off the San Diego coast in July of 2019. The Pentagon has since confirmed that the video is authentic.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago. The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucers. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. A disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil is the man who discovered the saucer.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
More people are coming forward with their own sightings.
Videos recorded by U.S. Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs.
Right at that moment, I saw what looked like 5 lights flying in formation in kind of an inverted check mark.
The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin. We don't know what these UAP are.
The mysterious flying objects are still a mystery. NASA will continue investigating them and has appointed a director of UAP research.
Technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had.
Let's try.